Okay, hello everyone. Alright, so in this video, let's talk about how to convert certain math formulas into programming statements. Because sometimes you'd have to write a math program that has or that uses a certain formula. And so I have a couple of formulas over here. Hold on, Microsoft Word. And so we often see formulas like this in our math. And assuming we wanted to write a program that actually uses one of these formulas to, let's say, calculate the value. So let's start with the very top. And how are we going to write something like this in a programming statement? So 5x, we know x is a variable, right? We don't know what it is. So we can denote it with a variable. We know the number 5. We can actually use it in our program. So the way we would write something like this in a program would be, say we create a variable. Let's call it, for now, let's call it, well, let's use a print statements to make things easier. All right, so 5, we know 5 and x are multiplying. So we can just write 5 times x. We don't know what x is, right? So we can denote it with a variable. Now, I don't think it's good practice to actually create variables this way and store values in there. I don't think it's a good practice. So I'm not going to name these variables like this. I'm just going to call it letter x, something like this. So we know that's letter x. And then we're just going to store, let's say, have a value in there, random value, let's say 4. And then so 5 letter x, right? 5x. I don't want to call this x because it's not good practice, right? But I'll call it letter x. 5 letter x. So I'm going to basically multiply 5 times letter x over here. And so this is how we would write something like this in a programming statement. Okay, so run it, and we can see that's 25 times 4. Let's see the next example. 2, 3. We know 2 and 3 are multiplying, right? So let's create a print statement and have 2 times 3. They are multiplying, so that's how we write something like that in a programming statement. So run this, and we can see it's working at 6. Let's see the next one. 4x, y, z. We know all these are multiplying, 4 times x times y times z. So the way we would write that in a Python program is 4 times x times y times z. So 4 times, we know letter x is already declared, so 4 times letter x. It's basically supposed to be x, right? If we define this as x, it's basically supposed to look like this. But I don't want us to create variables with these names. They can be very hard to keep track of. So let's call it letter x, and let's multiply 4 times letter x over here. We are basically multiplying 4 times letter x times letter y and times letter z. We don't have letter y and letter z declared, so let's go ahead and do that. So letter y, let's store any random value in there, 8. Letter z, let's store the value 2 in there. So 4 times, this is 4 times x times y times z. 4 times letter x times letter y times letter z. That's how we would write something like this, convert something like this into a programming statement, right? So run this. And we have an error. Let's see. Letter z is not defined. Let's see. Letter z. I call this letter yz. So, okay, so I'm going to name this letter z, so it will match with this. So run it one more time, and it's working. Okay, so let's see the next one. X is equal to 1 plus 3 over 5. All right, so when we look at this, we know that what's happening first of all is the addition on top here, which is 1 plus 3. We first find the sum of 3 plus 1, and then we divide by 5. So we want that to happen first in our program. And so we know when we're writing this statement, we are going to surround 1 plus 3 with parentheses so that is evaluated first before we divide the result by 5. And basically, we are going to store the result in letter x, right? And so we're going to say letter x is going to be equal to 1 plus 3. So 1 plus 3. And then we surround it with parentheses because we want that to happen first. We want that to take effect first. All divided by 5. And so all divided by 5. Something like this. Right? And so now we can come down here and print letter x if we want. But this is how we would write it. Because we want 1 and 3 to be evaluated first. If we don't put the parentheses there, then since based on the order of operation, division has a higher precedence than addition. So the operands of the division sign, 3 and 5, will basically take effect first before anything else, before the result is added to 1. But we want 1 and 3, 1 plus 3 to be added first before the result is divided by 5. So we surround 1 and 3 with parentheses. Alright, so that's how we would write something like that in programming statements. So the next one is z is equal to 3 times a half, 3 whole number 1 over 2. Alright, so the way you write something like that is letter z, right? Letter z is equal to 3 whole number 1 over 2, right? So we can write it this way. 3, well, we know this 3 is multiplying this 1 over 2, this half. They're multiplying. So 3 times 1 divided by 2. Now, we don't need any parentheses here, although you can still put it there. But the reason why we don't need a parentheses is because multiplication and the division sign all have the same precedence. And so when they have the same precedence, it's going to evaluate from left to right. It's going to multiply from left to right. You don't have to put parentheses there. Multiplication and division will have the same precedence. Alright, so this is how you write 3 whole number 1 over 2 in your program. Alright, the next one is y is equal to 4xc plus 7. We know 4xc are multiplying, so 4 times x times c plus 7. And so the way you write something like this is by saying letter y is equal to 4xc, right, which is 4 times x, 4 times letter x times letter c. We don't know what letter c is, we haven't declared it. So let's come up here and declare letter c, initialize it to let's say 8 or 7. So 4 times letter z times letter c over here. Let's just make these capital, just so you can see what we're dealing with, right? So it's not too confusing. What was this? Letter z. Letter c. Change this to x. Just want this to be a bit clear. Alright, so this is how you'd write. You start writing it. So letter y. Oops, change these two. Letter y is equal to 4 times letter z times letter c plus 7. This way, right? And we know that since the multiplication sign has a higher precedence, that's what's going to evaluate first, right? It's going to multiply 4 times letter z, and then times letter c, and then it adds the result to 7. Okay, addition comes last in the order of operation. All right. The next thing is b is equal to x plus 5 divided by 5 minus v. Well, we know that first of all we are finding the sum of x plus 5, so we want that to take effect first, and then we are dividing by the difference, okay, of 5 and v. So we want this to evaluate first, we want this to evaluate next, and then we want to divide the results. X plus 5 is one result, 5 minus v is one result, and we divide them. But since we want the sum to evaluate first, we surround it with parentheses. Since we want this also to evaluate next, we want it surrounded with parentheses before the result is divided. So the way we write something like this is we say letter b. So let's go ahead and declare. Let's just space this out a little bit. We say letter b, which we don't have declared. So letter b, let's initialize it to, let's say, 9. So letter b over here is equal to x plus 5. Now we want x plus 5 separate. So x plus 5. We want it to evaluate first, so we surround it with parentheses. And then we divide by the difference of 5 minus v. So we divide by the difference of 5 minus letter v, which we don't have declared, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's say 3. 5 minus v. But we also want that to evaluate. We want to find the difference of 5 minus v. We want to find the sum of x and 5. And we want to divide a result. So we want to also calculate that separately. So we surround that also with parentheses. So we are finding the sum of x plus 5. We are finding the difference of 5 and v. And then we are now dividing the results. So because we want these two calculated separately, we surround it with parentheses. And then before it's divided. If we don't include our parentheses, what's going to happen is that since the division sign has a higher precedence, the operands right next to the left and right of it is going to evaluate first. So it's going to be 5 divided by 5, and then that result is going to be added to x, and then the result of all that, v is going to be subtracted from it. But if you include your parentheses, it finds the value of this x plus 5, finds the value of 5 minus v, and then divides the result of both. So that's how you write something like that. That's all I came up with here. But this is an example of how you kind of construct your formulas in Python, to write the programs that you want. Right? So if you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll do everything to respond to them. Thank you very much for watching. Going forward, we'll have different math formulas to work with. It's important to kind of have an idea of how to construct them in your programs. Right? So like I said, if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll do everything to respond to them. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time with the next video. All right then. Bye-bye.